What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. And over the last couple of weeks or so, I've been making videos based on your guys' questions that are maybe a bit too big to answer just in a comment. From the community post that I made, we've covered things like the DLC and a few other things, my prediction on the release date, and a few other videos that will be coming soon. Now, I made a video about explaining the DLC fighters and some of the things that were said and how it will work and things like that. And I got, tons of comments. As always, thank you for the support on the recent videos. And I got this one comment here that was something that I thought, you know what, I want to talk about because I feel like it's a lot of people's concerns and only a few people are bringing it up. And the comment is literally just, I'm worried this game will be pay to win. In all honesty, I think that's a pretty fair point. There is always this constant worry that with games that have any aspect of PvP, if there is some kind of advantage through spending money, then of course it becomes a pay to win game. My prime examples that I'll go to are Destiny. Destiny 2, for example. The DLC gives you more weapons, more abilities, and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, where we got supply crates, loot crates, whatever you want to call them, and of course you could earn them, but it was easier to buy them, and of course you would get really good weapons in these supply crates. So that Advanced Warfare was the definition of pay to win, because it wasn't just cosmetics. It was literally like, I remember one gun was like the HB3R or something, and that one, I remember you get like an elite one in a supply crate, and it was just a melter. It just destroyed the lobbies. So of course that is pay to win, which I think with any game that has aspect of PvP, is a fair point to worry if this ESBC will become a pay-to-win game, as there will be DLC fighters that will cost us, the players, money. Now, fighting games with DLC fighters can, of course, become pay-to-win because not everybody can afford 5 fighters or 100 fighters, especially if they're selling them at $5.99 each. Not everyone, and honestly, very rarely do people have the money to buy all DLC for most games. Like Mortal Kombat and Fight Night Champion both having DLC, I would say that those games definitely go under the record of pay to win, especially Mortal Kombat, because you could get characters like Alien from Alien vs Predator or just the Alien movies, and his range attacks in Mortal Kombat were insane in comparison to some of the other characters, that had range attack as well. Alien was an absolute melter, same as Jason Voorhees. He was another DLC fighter from Mortal Kombat, and on the fighting in close range, he was absolutely insane. So what are the chances, in my opinion, of ESBC becoming pay to win? As mentioned, with the rollout of DLC and possibly years of DLC from prospects to legends, I think they've already thought about this, because when they spoke about it in the February gameplay, they did mention this.
Now, we know a top priority for many of you is making sure some of the best fighters in the sport are in ESBC on day one when you purchase the game. So you'll see Canelo, Ali, Fury, Wilder, Terrence Crawford, Joe Frazier, Roy Jones, Lomachenko, Claressa Shields, Katie Taylor, and more the very first time you play.
And that was the likes of Canelo, Ali, Crawford, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Katie Taylor, Claressa Shields will all be free on day one. Now right there, you've got the best and most likely the highest overall of 2 female weight classes, as well as the male super middle, heavy and welterweight divisions. In my opinion, I'd say the way to do it is to never have a DLC fighter be the highest rated in a weight class. So don't have the likes of Sugar Ray Robinson, Rocky Marciano, Nonita Donaire and Sonny Edwards as DLC, as likely they will be the highest, if not one of the highest rated fighters in their respective weight classes. Now, of course, as an example, you might get, let's say, Gabriel Rosado as a DLC. He may have a higher toughness than most people in the division, or say, Triple G is a better example. Triple G is DLC. He may have a higher punch power, a higher cardio than most people, if not everyone in his division, especially if they give us, let's say a slightly younger, more prime Triple G, then that's bound to happen. Now, the issue we have is, let's say they get the likes of Mike Tyson, Triple G, Naira Nui, Errol Spence Jr., Manny Pacquiao, or even Floyd Mayweather. Those will all be high rated, if not highest rated, in their respective weight classes. If something like that happens where the likes of Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson are DLC payable, where you have to pay to get them, then of course there is an aspect of pay to win, but only in a certain manner. If they give us, let's say Canelo, he was DLC, then he is going to be without a doubt pay to win. Floyd Mayweather, however, I know people are going to say he's the GOAT, he's whatever. I'll said it once and I'll say it again. There will be no 99 overalls. And while Floyd Mayweather, if you want a super skilled counterpuncher and you're good with it and you're busting people up with counter punches, head movement, then of course Floyd will be considered pay to win. But let's say you use Floyd at, I don't know, welter or lightweight, wherever, and you use Crawford or, you know, someone who can get on the inside and fight Sean Porter, and you don't let this Floyd Mayweather fighter, this person who's using him, get off his counter punches, then the pay to win is almost void because he's not going to be skilled at brawling on the inside in comparison to a heavier brawler like, let's say, Crawford or Porter, for example. Now, I think the biggest point is to never have the highest rated fighter in any division as DLC. Now, of course, this will, of course, avoid the whole pay to win gap between, you know, those that can buy tons of fighters and those that can't. And let's say if a DLC fighter is looking like he or she will be the highest rated in a weight class, then in my opinion, while I know this doesn't make sense from a business standpoint, I think you should make them free. As while I will buy all the fighters, and I'm sure a lot of you guys say you will as well, it's not fair to expect the average working man or woman that works a 9 to 5, weekends with the kids, who can only play 3 hours a day on a Sunday night, to expect him to pay between 3 and 100 odd quid on DLC fighters just to stand a chance online. Now, for me personally, I'll be buying all the fighters mainly for career mode purposes, as I want to have a full roster in all of my careers. But I think while it is simple from a gamer point of view to avoid this pay to win gap, I don't think it's simple from a business point of view. Now, I would really hate to see, obviously, yes, we're going to get great fighters for free, but I would hate to see, you know, the fastest of a division, the toughest of the division, the highest rated of a division to be pay to win or you know, DLC. And I know they mentioned free DLC, which is awesome, and I know obviously, you know, people like Floyd, he's going to have to be DLC for them to pay him. Probably the same with Errol Spence, probably the same with Manny Pacquiao. So I think the options are either you have the likes of Canelo, Ali, Fury, fighters that are free, be more overpowered than, let's say, Sugar Ray Robinson and Floyd if they're DLC, Errol Spence. Let's say you have them higher rated than all the DLC fighters and it not be totally accurate, or we suffer the consequences of pay to win and maybe they give us a free, very good fighter to contend with those DLC fighters in the future. But that's just my thoughts on it. I think there is ways to avoid the pay to win gap. I think, of course, being realism, there will be you know, more ways to counter each style of fight. Of course, no one found the style to beat Floyd, but we are not Floyd Mayweather. We cannot fight as well. The game will not flow as well as it does in real life because it is a video game at the end of the day. So I think that's one thing to note, that even though, let's say, Floyd is $9.99 and not everyone can afford him, he's not going to have the best of every attribute in every weight class that he fights in. He's not going to be able to slug it out with someone. If someone starts trying to throw big hooks with him and is trying to slug with you, chances are he's not going to win that fight. If he uses his range and walks around and counter punches you, chances are he'll win that fight. But then for me, while it is a bit like it's pay to win, there's an aspect of that that's quite fun, because it's like, okay, how do I beat this Floyd? I'm 5 rounds down. He's counter-punching me. He's using his jab. Now, what do I do? Do I just lose over 12 rounds? Or do I risk getting knocked out and fight on the inside and try and brawl with him and try and bully him, or attack his body for 4 rounds and then push him when his stamina's low? I think there's a lot of fun to have with it. If you can't afford those fighters, you could almost challenge yourself to be like, you know what, I refuse to be beaten by a payable fighter. Like, I don't want that to happen. I'll use Canelo to beat these pay-to-win fighters and see what goes down. But of course, I'm not a businessman. I'm not a game creator. I'm not a community manager. I don't know how it shakes out when it comes to a business aspect of this kind of stuff. But I'll be interested to see how it works in the future. And yeah, I'm not worried about it being paid to win, because like I said, we do have Canelo, Ali, Fury, Wilder, Crawford, Katie Taylor, Carissa Shields, and I'm sure so many more. And like I said, most likely Loma, Usyk probably. So you will have a high, if not the highest rated of each weight class. If they give us the legends for free, the 6 legends they announced back in the day, which was Rocky Marciano, Joe Louis, Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey, Floyd Patterson, and one more that I cannot remember, I'm sorry. Then that's decent across those weight classes. So, pros and cons. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I think there's an easy way to avoid it, especially if you're a skilled player. But I would hate to have more, let's say the top 3 of each weight class are all DLC. That's when it's going to start to ruin the game. They need to make sure that in the top 3, 2 of them are free, in my opinion. So, let's say you have super middle. Canelo needs to be free, of course, as he is. Number 2 needs to be free, and let's say number 3 can be DLC, but they need to make sure that the top 3 of each weight class are not DLC, because then it 100% boils down to a pay-to-win game. But that's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Thank you as always for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.